I'm gonna share 13 new home construction tips so that you can be prepared when building a new house. Hi, my name is Dana Pollard and I've been a realtor in Texas, specifically Dallas-Fort Worth, for almost 15 years now. And before that, I sold new homes as a sales counselor. So I have been on both sides, both as a sales counselor and learning what the build process is, what everything, all the details of a new construction home. Our team helps people build new construction homes because a typical resale is not the same process. But in this video, I want to give you my best tips and expectations if you're building new. The first tip is kind of a secret, and it has to do with the build quality, kind of to give you a gauge of where your builder's at, okay? So this first tip is find the AC vents in the home. And if most of your AC vents are pulled out as close to the windows as possible and facing the window so that air can flow, hit the window and then cycle through, that's a good thing. Now, not every single room are the builders able to move that AC vent out as close to the window as possible. But the reason you're looking for this is it tells you, is your builder going to try to shortchange the construction? Meaning, it's not the end of the world if the vents are not all pushed out to the windows, but it kind of tells you that they're willing to spend the money on the unseen things to make sure you have the best home as possible. So what I mean is, let me show you. So my house is a perfect example of how you do want the vents. Now, when you're walking in a home that is cheaply made, which I'm actually surprised. I thought this builder was a little on the cheap end, but they did not cut those corners. Then sometimes you're gonna see that they're gonna be right by the door. And what they do is, in behind the scenes, they're cutting all the ducts short because it's less, when they do hundreds of homes, it costs less money for them, but it creates an energy efficiency problem for you or hotspots in the home. So that's a secret tip that not many know about. Now, is it the end of the world if they have cut those short? It's not the end of the world. All homes are built up to code, so they are not required to do that, but it does give you an indication of where your builder quality is. The second tip is, when you go to spend money on your home, the additional money for design selections, I would recommend go ahead and invest your money in the structural upgrades and less at the design center. You can always add new backsplash, change your light fixtures, but you can't always go back and add a bathroom or a bedroom or an office space if you have those selection opportunities. Definitely invest in the structural changes, even your elevation. You may be trying to keep costs low, but that elevation can bring a lot more money on the resale value. And if your builder does not include a gas pipe for a grill in the backyard, that's a structural upgrade. Definitely get that. Big deal. I kind of missed this tip, but I'm going to assume that if you have shopped new homes at all, that there's typically a difference between the base price and then you go to the design center and have the opportunity to put thousands of dollars of more in upgrades in the home, okay? So just know that the base price is typically not your end price, depending on how extravagant and lavish you get at the design center. Just know that they're two different pricing, okay? Now, many times builders, depending on the market, they may have the base price plus $30,000 in incentives or $50,000, whatever the builder is, right? Where you can go to the design center and choose some things, but usually we spend more than we anticipate in the design center. So allow that in your budget. The fourth thing you must know, especially post 2020, is that we are still in 2023 having some lag times on construction, meaning maybe a window isn't coming in as quick as we had hoped, or the builder had hoped, or maybe the appliances, or random things, and there's no rhyme or reason at this point. Just know that sometimes there are some lag times on those items, okay? So just, if you're gonna build a home, just try to remember that and be patient, especially as it gets closer to your move-in date, okay? That is normal for most builders. With that, sometimes you may even have to come in to the design center again, or they'll email you having you pick another item because maybe something's been discontinued or just not shipping in the time frame that everyone was hoping. So I share this so you're not like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing this. Many builders are doing this. The fifth must know for building a new construction home is just keep in the back of your mind, once you sign that contract, you are pretty much locked in to buy that home. If you back out for some reason, maybe you get a different job transfer, maybe interest rates have gone up. So we had a couple of people where they purchased at the top of their budget. We were not anticipating interest rates to go up. And then when they did, they couldn't qualify for the home, guys. And so just know that whatever money you're putting into the new construction home, those builders know it and they're counting on you closing. And if you don't, for some reason, you very well just count on losing your money. Now, on occasion, like the builder that I had worked for, they did give the client's money back, but many builders do not. So those contracts are pretty straightforward and in favor of the builder, not the buyer. So just a little warning. Also, I don't recommend, while we're on this tip, you purchasing at the very top of your budget, because if the interest rates do go up any further, which I don't know how to gauge that, right? But if they did go up any further, you don't want to not qualify for your home, because now you're over budget and what they will give you for financing. So keep that in mind. I never recommend you purchasing at the top of your budget anyway. And number 6, talking about the contract, as they are usually in favor of the builder, have an attorney review it if you're concerned at all, okay? Now I can say this, if you don't like the contract, then they're probably not going to change anything in the contract, but at least you understand what you are signing, okay? So I recommend, if you have concerns about the contract, have an attorney review it and explain it to you. 7th must-know thing when building new construction is, this is important, if a sales counselor promises you something, get it in writing. This is what I tell my clients, if it's not in writing, you won't get it. I don't care how genuine the sales counselor is, how genuine the builder is. If they say it, they may not remember, guys. Or we've been in situations where we just miscommunicated. We didn't understand what I remember once I had a client that both the client and myself thought the sales counselor said this one thing, and they were like, that's not what I meant. And when she explained what she meant, we're like, oh my gosh. So clarify, and if they promise anything, get it in writing. Maybe they promise that, yeah, this is included. Double check the included features sheet if it's important to you to make sure it's there. Every time. When I purchase new homes, which I've purchased several new homes myself, I always, in the beginning I would just gloss over the included features list, and now I'm like, every single item I make note of. And if there's something that they said they would include, have the sales counselor write it on the included feature sheet and then have everyone initial it. They just need it in writing. They want to honor their word. The builders want to honor it, but they can't honor it if it's not in writing. The 8th tip is, you may want to use the builder's lender when building a new home, because many times they give you special incentives for using their lender. The reason that builders want you to use their lender and their title company, well, many builders own their own so they make more money, but beside that, before all these builders went to that, it was a much smoother transition. If they have a lender they trust that they can get the deal done and closed on your home. When we use outside lenders that the builder's not familiar with, it can create complications. However, I still recommend you shop other lenders, because even though they're giving you a $10,000 incentive or whatever incentive they have, just shop other lenders, because you need to verify that that's normal. Meaning, They may say that they're giving you $10,000 in closing costs, but they may be charging you a higher interest rate and you didn't know because you didn't shop around. So sometimes there are hidden fees with the builder's lender. So I just recommend get the builder's quote, the builder's lender's quote, as well as a separate lender, typically one that your agent that your agent recommends because they've done so many transactions, and trust them as well. That way you can at least have an educated choice, right? Yeah. Number 9, and guys, these are really not in any order. This was just off the top of my head. Number 9 is when you are doing the final walkthrough. This is where you're signing off saying everything's right on the home. If there are any items left undone, you have a choice to make. You can either sign off and say, yes, everything's done except these 3 items that the builder is promising to come and repair. And hopefully they come back and repair them after closing. But I've heard so many stories about builders. It's like pulling teeth to get them back out there to repair those things that they said they do. So you have a choice to go, am I going to trust the builder? Is it worth me signing off on and going to closing? Because sometimes you're in a time crunch with movers and stuff. Or maybe it's worth the risk and maybe it's not, okay? If there are too many items that are left undone, I don't recommend you signing off. Just weigh your circumstance, okay? Because sometimes it's like pulling teeth to get them back out. Hopefully not, but sometimes it is. Which kind of leads me to back up just a moment. Again, no order. Okay, so I want you guys to know that your house very well may look very messy up until like the day before you do your walkthrough, your final walkthrough, okay? So many of our clients are like, oh my gosh, are they ever gonna fix that cabinet? Are they ever going to fix the window? I told them about the window 3 months ago. And really it's normal for things to look undone and like they forgot about it until the very last week. So what I wanna help you do is lower the stress. They're going to get to it, okay? On occasion, maybe you have a goofball that doesn't remember, but this is my system for that, okay? Keep a running list of everything, like a checklist that you have noticed that needs repaired. So say a window got broken. Contractors are in the home, they broke a window, you reported it, write it on a list and keep a tally, and then just check it off whenever they do complete it. 3 weeks before closing, say, hey, these are the items that I know I reported to you. I just want to make sure that you didn't forget about them. You can say it in a friendly way. Give them the list and they're like, oh my gosh, yeah. Usually what it is they have so many people in and out and they're juggling a schedule between your home and other homes that they're just trying to wait for that right opportunity that makes most sense for the whole overarching plan, okay? But just to be on the safe side, because you don't, you want to make sure it gets done. 3 weeks before, present the list. And a week before your final walkthrough, present it again if it's not checked off. And then they're probably going to go, yeah, I have the guy coming in on Tuesday. Okay, great. Then at your final walkthrough, you should have a pretty clean list. Just know that that's normal with most builders. It doesn't mean you have a bad builder. It's very, very normal. While we're on what's normal, it is normal to have some baseboards that are not perfect. Maybe some walls that are not perfectly straight. Even in my home, my fireplace wall is a little wonky. Now, I didn't build this home. This was a resale purchase, but some things nothing is ever going to be perfect in your home. You can, if you give them enough time, especially with prior to a week before closing, let them know the things you want them to touch up. Yes, but when you move in, you're going to find that some things are, a little crooked. It's actually normal because they're human beings building the home. We don't like them. If they're too much, then catch them on the walkthrough, but that's kind of normal. Basically, it's normal to have some minor imperfections. If it's a big deal, have them fix it. They can fix things. Just give them that time to fix it. The 12th tip is to, yes, get a third-party inspection done. Most sales counselors and builders don't like this. Okay, they say, hey, the property is going to be inspected by the city this time, this time, this time. You don't need a third-party inspection. But almost every time that I have a third-party inspection done on a new construction home, things pop up and are flagged for the builder. I do recommend you investing in a third-party inspection. Now, also know this though. It's very common for that third-party inspector to present some things that they say are code when they're not code in the city. So then, oh my gosh, what do we do? Then we default back to the builder, and the builder will say, yeah, we don't need that in the city, or no, that's not code in the city. And you can go, oh, okay. The inspector has it on his list, but it's not necessarily the city's list. The builder will always default to city code, not to your inspector's whatever list he has, okay? So do know that, but they will catch things that need to be addressed. Builder and sales counselor don't like that because it messes with their schedule basically. And you want to get it as close to the final walkthrough, but not the day of the final walkthrough, okay? So you want it between probably like a week out before closing, maybe 2 weeks. Actually, ask the sales counselor and the builder their best time for you to get an inspection. Usually it's a week to no more than 2 out before closing. The 13th and final tip for this video anyway, is do hire a real estate agent, an experienced one in new construction, I might add, to building a new construction home. And this is the reason, and people go, I don't need an agent. You're just saying that because you're a salesperson. I am a salesperson, I am an agent, but I have seen a lot of stuff. And this is why you want to hire a good agent. Not if your agent has not dealt with new home construction, it's as good as you not having an agent, okay? Because they're not gonna know the expectations, what's normal. We've seen where inexperienced agents with new construction really just add to the chaos in the stress of the build versus an experienced agent will say, hey, this is what's normal. It's okay, you can sleep at night. They can help remove the stress unless they just don't know, okay? So that's why I'd say find an experienced agent that has sold many new construction homes. They are legally bound to represent your best interest. The builder or the sales counselor represents the builder's best interest and their own best interest. And let me tell you, as a new home sales counselor, they want to please their boss more than they please the client. So yes, they want to please the client, but when it comes down to a decision, they're going to please their boss, okay? That's why it's important to have someone who legally is bound to representing your best interest, even above our own as agents. So again, a good experienced agent. Let me know if you need a referral in your city because I have the hookup. Fill out the questionnaire below, Dream Home Questionnaire. And if you're looking at moving to Dallas, Fort Worth, or Texas, Austin, Houston, fill out the Dream Home Questionnaire in the link below and we can get you set up with new home construction or a resale home as well. I hope I covered most of your questions. If you have more questions, put them in the comments below. I'd be happy to help answer your new home questions.